The story continued. Now the Firestar Tide was right in front of them. The Firestar Tide looked like a phoenix. The bald elder said that it was formed by accumulated various spiritual energy in the sky. If they accidentally got into the Firestar Tide, they would get attacked without even being able to protect themselves. Kit interrupted, seeing they should go through another way. The bald elder should turn the course of the ship immediately. When the bald elder was about to do so, King Lu stopped him because the Firestar Tide had made a way for them through it. It was certainly a surprise to everyone. Shayuku didn't understand saying who had made a way and how it was possible. Kin responded casually, who else but him. Once Shayu realized something, she was surprised and mentioned Naifin. Meanwhile, Kin sighed and said if Shiyu just realized it. Kin asked the bald elder what had the bald elder been talking about with Naifin earlier. The bald elder recalled his conversation with Naifin about the Firestar Tide. If there was a Firestar Tide, they should avoid it, and Naifin replied that he hoped the gods would protect them all. Recalling the conversation, the bald elder was shocked to death. Kin said that she understood. It turned out to be the order of Naifin. How could the Firestar Tide give way voluntarily? The bald elder really looked pale. He thought he was the only who was in shock, but not to others. With a single sentence from Naifin, the Firestar Tide made a way. How could a mortal do such thing? The bald elder cried out in frustration. Master Naifin even just said a sentence praying to the gods to protect their journey, and it came true. Wasn't that really creepy? With that expression, King Lu said he was actually surprised, but he thought the Firestar Tide was trying to gain Master Naifin's attention. He believed in Master Naifin's expectation and plan, including the Firestar Tide that made a way for them through. The conversation between the bald elder and Master Naifin mentioned the Firestar Tide, and as Master Naifin chatted with the bald elder, at the same time Master Naifin gave order to the Firestar Tide to give a way to them. Master Naifin even gave the bald elder a pure fruit. King Lu excitedly said that he believed what Naifin meant was the bald elder had nothing to fear and should go through with it. Looking pale, the bald elder asked whether it was true. Kin confirmed it. She also thought that they had to go forward. After hearing the nonsensical speculation, the bald elder finally understood. He passionately yelled he would pass through it, no more doubt. In an instant, their ship sped over the Firestar Tide, but midway through it caused a violent shock. The shock brought Naifin and Day close together, which made their faces turn red from embarrassment. Day stepped back and apologized to Naifin. Stammering with fear, Naifin said it was no problem. Still awkward, Naifin said that he would go out to see what was out there. Naifin exited his room and saw something amazing. Small lights like stars were twinkling in the sky. They looked like they were between galaxies. Naifin was once again completely amazed. Shayu also just learned that it was the Firestar Tide. Wasn't it incredible? Suddenly they were surprised by Naifin's voice, who was greeting them. Day turned out following Naifin. Dai asked Naifin to have a look ahead. Apparently there was something seen floating and then exploded. It was really wonderful firework. Seeing it, Naifin was truly amazed. His eyes sparkled looking at the fireworks in front of him. But not for the immortals. They clucked irritably with their glum faces. Increasingly annoyed, they shouted to themselves. Why hadn't they heard before that the Firestar Tide would open the way and even set off fireworks? Once again, Naifin was amazed and asked today if it was going to be fireworks because he had wanted to see a meteor fall but hadn't gotten the chance to witness it. The Firestar Tide seemed to realize Naifin's wish. In no time, meteors were falling right in front of them. Where once the sky had been a bright red and gold color, it was now a bright dark blue and overflowing with thousands of meteors that fell in front of Naifin. It was a remarkable sight. Again, the immortals felt annoyed. They said seeing the Firestar Tide was willing to give all of its life to impress Master Naifin. The Firestar was indeed wild. Seeing the immortals, Naifin said to himself, getting to know the immortals was really beneficial. Thanks to them, he could witness such scene. Naifin then recalled Kin had led him hopping on her boat. He should thank Kin for it. Naifin took out something while calling out Kin. A bit surprised, Kin asked whether there was something Naifin needed. Smiling, Naifin said that he was folding a small origami and he would give it to Kin. With the crane-shaped origami in hand, Naifin said that he was able to see the meteor shower thanks to Kin, so he would give it. Kin and the others were very surprised, not sure what was in their minds. Upon receiving the crane-shaped origami, Kin felt that the crane shaped origami like it was breathing. Kin sincerely thanked Nifin. Nifin then said goodbye to take a bath and go to bed. By running, Nifin said that everyone could enjoy the wonderful sight. He would go back to his room and sleep. Day, who was with them, spoke up. Even though Master Nifin had come to be the person he wanted to be, the things he did had deep meaning, and their behavior had all been quite good. Kin replied that she was envious of Day, who could accompany Master Nifin. Day tried to evade and comfort them. Being recognized by Master Nifin was a blessing to her, but she was just one of many pets, and she only appeared to share Master Nifin's worries, not much different from the rest of them. King Lu smiled and said that Day was too kind. Day also told some things. Besides herself, Master Nifin also had a golden dragon and a black tortoise. They were descendants of ancient mythical beasts. At first, King Lu and the others didn't react, but after processing Day's words again, they burst out in disbelieving shock. Kin responded, "Weren't those beasts the pinnacle of ancient mythology?" Day nodded, saying that she thought Master Nifin had a hobby of collecting ancient mythical beasts. Kin said that they understood and would pay more attention. Day thanked them for their willingness. Day then said goodbye to return to her room, but suddenly Kin stopped Day for a while. Kin was curious. If Day didn't mind, could Day tell them what stage of cultivation Day was currently in? Day turned around, saying if a fox of bloodline grew 9 tails, then it would have a chance to awaken supernatural ki. As a result of following Master Nifin, her supernatural powers increased rapidly. If rated by stage, Day stopped her explanation for a moment. She swung her hand and aimed forward at the Firestar Tide. Day apparently attacked the Firestar Tide and destroyed it. Then, Day continued, she should be above immortal, but she was unsure at what stage if compared to the god. They surely were in shock. Day destroyed the Firestar Tide so easily. King Lu was astonished how could Day did such thing if she wasn't a deity. Kitten said enthusiastically, hadn't the path to live a long life been no longer open? It had been thousands of years there was no one who had a long life. Kin was still curious and asked Day, since Day already had the power of a deity, but why didn't she ascend to heaven? Day gently said that Master Nifin didn't care if she was an immortal or immortal. If she was to judge Master Nifin by the rules of ordinary people, wouldn't she be missing out on the opportunity to get to personally know Master Nifin? Everything had definite limits and numbers. Hearing Day's words made everyone silent. After quite a long journey, they finally had arrived to the destination, Valley of Green Cloud. Nifin seemed impressed with the terrain of mountains and valleys. King Lu said by the help of Valley of Green Cloud, a life in the neighborhood had improved. The bald elder also didn't expect 100 years ago the area was a very barren desert. Kin then invited Nifin to go to a place. She said she had prepared the meal and place to stay for Nifin and Dai as well. It was better for Nifin and Day to enjoy their time soon. Nifin said that he couldn't live there. Of course, it surprised Kin. She asked Nifin why, only to find out that Nifin was worried about the price. With a bitter smile, Nifin said that the price of the accommodation was a little higher than what he expected. Kin asked Nifin not to worry, just leave it to her for the price. Kin asked Nifin not to hesitate to ask her for anything, and asked what Nifin's estimated price was. Nifin tried to calculate how much money it cost, but he couldn't seem to figure it out because it was actually difficult for him to do math. Kin, who realized this, felt bad about it. She muttered to herself, why did she humiliate Master Nifin like that? It was her fault. Kin hurriedly changed the subject that she had paid for everything, so Nifin didn't have to think of anything. Nifin was still trying to resist as he didn't know how to make up for it. Kin kept reassuring Nifin that it was nothing to her and it wasn't too expensive either. Nifin still refused. Nifin didn't feel like he deserved it. Kin was getting even more panicked and muttered to herself that the notes Nifin gave her were precious, and also the delicious food Nifin always served. How could Nifin feel unworthy of all that? By kneeling down and holding Nifin's feet, Kin begged Nifin not to reject the favor. Kin's exaggeration made Nifin think that he didn't expect Kin to think high of him. Kin was undeniably a local tyrant. When local tyrants made a friend, they didn't care if the other party had money or not. It all depended on their mood. Nifin convinced himself that it was very difficult to make friends like that. He couldn't make Kin upset. Reluctantly, Nifin finally agreed. He would stay overnight there. Of course, Kin stopped crying and thanked Nifin for accepting her offer. But Nifin had one condition, that he couldn't do it for free. Further, Kin should come to his place. He would cook a meal for Kin. Kin happily got up and shouted that of course she would come to Nifin's place to eat. Meanwhile, King Lu and the others were stunned. They seemed to have missed a great opportunity. In a huge pavilion, many people had lined up neatly and were guided by someone who seemed to be a restaurant waiter. Nifin and the others were there. It turned out that Kin was only accompanying Nifin, and she had some matters and needed to visit the head of this valley of green clouds, so she had to leave first. Not only Kin, it turned out that King Lu also had to visit some elders. Nifin asked them not to worry about him. Kin told Nifin that the servants would soon come to bring his lunch. Nifin and Day could also listen to tales while enjoying the special meal. Nifin asked Kin to serve food for two and not to be excessive. Kin told Nifin not to worry as she had already prepared it. Not long after Kin left, the food arrived. But the food was served all at once. It was full of dishes from one end of the table to the other, only loaded with food for Nifin. Nifin was immediately shocked to see the food. He muttered, did Kin really understand what she was talking about? There were all kinds of dishes there. Nifin questioned himself whether he really liked different foods. In the midst of being shocked by the food, Nifin was surprised again by someone greeting him. A young man asked permission to join the table Nifin was using. The young man said that all the tables there were full and only Nifin's table was empty and only filled with food. Nifin turned around and found that indeed all the places were full. With an awkward smile, Nifin said that a table as big as the one he was currently using was indeed inappropriate for only two people to sit at. The young man closed his fan and said that he had only come to listen to stories, not to eat. The young man offered to pay for Nifin's meal. Of course, Nifin was surprised and made a strange face. Nifin didn't answer and asked the young man to sit down. Nifin wasn't finished with his words, the young man sat down immediately. Thanks to that, an awkward situation ensued. Again, the young man asked Nifin not to worry about him, as he said he would pay for Nifin's food, so he did. Nifin should eat the meal without any worries. Nifin, still with his strange face, said that it wasn't necessary. Nifin turned to Day and gave Day the food to try, which made the young man observe Nifin even more. Inwardly, the young man said that Nifin had rejected his kindness. He felt strange, extremely strange. Nifin had no cultivation. Nifin was just a mortal wearing ordinary clothes and had a normal temperament. But Nifin ordered an expensive meal. Was Nifin hiding his power? Nifin looked at the young man who was acting strangely. The young man widened his eyes to observe Nifin. Nifin, of course, asked what the young man was doing, if his eyes hurt. The young man still had nothing to say and was still watching Nifin intently. The young man said to himself that his divine consciousness was unable to understand him. No matter how long he looked at him, Nifin was just a mortal. The young man didn't give up. He took out an orange stone and muttered that there was only one way to see the true color. Nothing could be hidden from the sight of his divine consciousness, blessed by heavenly jade, unless Nifin was in the divine test cultivation. Seeing the increasingly strange behavior of the young man seemed to make Nifin even more annoyed. He shouted at the young man, asking him to just say if he had something to talk about, not to act like that. After being satisfied with the results of his analysis, the young man muttered with a smile if Nifin was just a mortal. The young man then spoke up, apologizing for his rudeness. He looked at Nifin because Nifin was so handsome. With a stressed look on his face, Nifin said that the young man was very strange. Someone suddenly hit the table with a small block. Nifin and the others were surprised. The person who hit the table greeted the diners and thanked them for waiting. There was someone like a scholar continuing a story. Today they were going to read the last chapter of The Journey to the West. Nifin was quite impressed as he didn't expect that there would be someone to tell about the journey to the West. A foot suddenly stepped onto the table and startled Nifin, which turned out to be the young man beside him. The young man spread out money and said that he really liked the story of Journey to the West. He should reward them. A staff picked up the scattered money and the storyteller thanked the young man for his kindness. The storyteller cleared his throat and was about to continue the story. The young man got even more enthusiastic to listen to it. Noticing the young man's antics, Nifin was weary. He wondered where the young man came from. After a while, the story was finally finished. The young man beside Nifin was seen crying with emotion. He muttered that the story was very inspiring. What a touching story. Nifin, who looked at him, once again showed a stressful expression. Once he had stopped crying, the young man asked if Nifin had heard the story. Nifin replied that he had, of course. The young man said that Monk Tang had an unusual background, that he was against the covenant. But with persistence, he was able to finally attain Buddhahood. The young man with enthusiasm was determined to give more gifts to the storyteller. But Nifin stopped him. Nifin explained things and said his conclusion. In his opinion, the story of the journey to the West was nothing more than a travel log. Nifin said that the end of the story of Journey to the West had been determined from the beginning. The young man thought hard and came to a conclusion that Journey to the West wasn't an inspirational story. Once again, Nifin prevented the young man from giving many gifts to the storyteller. A story of Journey to the West didn't deserve some gifts. It even led the young man to the wrong side of cultivation learning. The young man immediately realized and was shocked that the story of Journey to the West that he had been admiring turned out to be a false story. Obviously, Day, who was seeing it, was a bit curious whether it was all right about it. Nifin confirmed it would be better rather than being infatuated with the story of Journey to the West and ruin the young man's life. The young man suddenly regained his senses and said was not his growth as the son of the Valley of Green also planned. The servants prepared various monsters for Dao's heart training. When he practiced outside, he would always have guards and horses following him. Even the gifts for the storytellers were from his home. Enthusiastically hitting the table, the young man told Nifin that Nifin was a wise person. Now he knew. Nifin, of course, didn't understand what the young man meant. The young man yelled he would be able to attain Buddhahood as long as he worked hard and followed the path planned by his dad. By leaving the pearl necklace on the Nifin's table, the young man said that Nifin's words had made him realize. He would pay for Nifin's food, and the young man left Nifin immediately. Nifin was astonished because the young man misunderstood and interpreted it that way. Nifin turned his head looking at the pearl necklace given by the young man. Nifin took it and smiled. He told Day and now had some money. Looking her master's antics, Day froze. With a genuine smile, Nifin asked Day to go shopping, moving to a residence in Valley of Green Cloud. Qin was seen had a conversation to a woman. They talked about the ceremony at Valley of Green Cloud. Qin said she heard all cultivators at the God test stage would attend the ceremony. If there were some incidents, how seriously Green Cloud Valley would handle the ceremony. The woman replied if Qin knew that the demon seal of the Valley of Green Cloud was getting even weaker. There was not much power left after a few years. For unknown reasons, the seal disappeared in just less than 2 days, which left his father shocked. While they both chatted, a young man who had talked to Nifin arrived. He was known as Zai Yu. As he recognized Qin, Zai Yu immediately greeted her and grabbed her hands. Zai Yu's antics made the woman who was with Qin showing a displeased expression. It seemed the woman was Zai Yu's sister. The woman scolded Zai Yu for not being there when many guests arrived. Zai Yu argued that he had heard the ending of Journey to the West. The woman seemed to be interested in the end of the story Journey to the West and asked Zai Yu because now Zai Yu looked like he underestimated the story. Zai Yu said that Journey to the West had all been planned from the beginning. Seeing Zai Yu underestimated the story made the woman upset, but then she asked him why. Didn't Zai Yu love the story? Zai Yu asked to put the Journey to the West story aside for now, as he had met a weird young man today. Even though he was just a mortal, he had great wisdom. He just spoke up some words to make him understand the truth behind the story of Journey to the West. He also made him realizing the destiny that was upon him. Zai Yu concluded by himself that he was Monk Tang in this life. He was the wealthy man who didn't need to work hard to attain Buddhahood. Seeing her brother's antics, the woman thought that his retarded brain couldn't be saved. The woman asked for apology for Zai Yu's behavior, but it seemed Qin didn't mind it. Qin said, perhaps the one whom Zai Yu was talking about was someone she knew. The woman gasped and understood immediately. Seemed it was the expert. Back to Nifin, who had been back to his place from buying tons of stuff. He was truly happy because the feeling of shopping was very pleasant. He didn't expect the pearl given by the young man could be exchanged for a lot of money. He even couldn't repay the lodging fee Qin had already paid with it. Suddenly Qin arrived approaching Nifin, asked if Master Nifin just called her name. What did Master Nifin need from her? Nifin blushed seeing Qin's arrival because he thought Qin hearing what Nifin had talked about earlier. Nifin said that he would repay the lodging fee. Nifin said he met a young wealthy playboy. The young man handed him a bunch of pearls. Kin didn't understand what Nefin meant by young, wealthy playboy. Nefin mentioned the young man's characteristics. Nefin said the young man looked like a child who was infatuated with a novel journey to the West. He had no ability nor knowledge. In addition, he was also a spendthrift. Nefin spontaneously pointed to the person who just arrived, saying that the person was very much like the person he mentioned earlier. The person Nefin pointed at was Ziyu. Suddenly, Nefin realized something. In tears, Ziyu immediately grabbed Nefin's hands. He finally met Nefin again. Nefin was really shocked with his sudden appearance. The woman who was Ziyu's sister knocked Ziyu to the ground. The woman apologized for Ziyu's rudeness. Master Nefin had a pierced gaze as expected of Master Nefin. The woman introduced herself well. She was the daughter of the leader of Valley of Green Cloud, Gu Ziyao. Gu Zi greeted Nefin politely. Gu Zi said she heard a story about Master Nefin from Kin. She was impressed and decided to meet Master Nefin in person. Nefin, who was surprised, couldn't process what was now happening. He was just stunned to speak. Soon Nefin understood. He asked if Gu Zi was friend of Kin. Suddenly, Gu Zi's face turned into displeased expression. But then she put a smile on her face and Gu Zi confirmed it. She had been friends with Kin since childhood. Gu Zi immediately gave Nefin the present which was brought by Ziyu. Gu Zi said that she and Ziyu brought a gift for Master Nefin. She hoped that Nefin would not mind accepting it. Gu Zi asked Ziyu to open the gift box. Ziyu opened the box slowly. It turned out the gift was a cloth. Nefin was very impressed by the cloth. It was a cloth for Day. Gu Zi asked Day to accept it and wished Day would love it. Seeing the cloth, Day said that it looked so expensive, she couldn't accept it. Gu Zi loudly said that it didn't matter. She even thought the cloth wouldn't be enough for Nefin and Day after hearing the story of Master Nefin. Nefin was astonished. What kind of story Gu Zi had heard from Kin? Of course, Kin glared at Gu Zi with annoyance. Hadn't she told her the rule? Gu Zi looked pale from Kin's stare. Then she had a way. Gu Zi said that she heard Master Nefin was really good at cooking. Nefin now understood it was all about cooking. While closing the gift box, Nefin said that the cloth would definitely look stunning if worn by Day. If it was the case, then he would accept it. However, if Gu Zi was coming for food, he was afraid he didn't have anything to serve. Day immediately asked Day to prepare the food they would cook tomorrow. Nefin told them to have some snacks first. He would cook for them once they met again later. With pleasure, Gu Zi and Ziyu thanked Nefin. After a while, the food had served on the table. Nefin said it wasn't something luxury. It was just an egg produced by his chicken. Nefin opened the container and shook out the egg filled with Qi Dao energy. Gu Zi and Ziyu was really shocked. With a shocking face, they said inwardly if it was the food filled with Dao, which Kim was talking about earlier. Nefin also prepared rice porridge for them. Day poured the porridge to a bowl and handed it to Ziyu. Ziyu was extremely happy to get such treatment from Day. With teary eyes and snot in his nose, Ziyu said to himself that Day was a goddess. By calling his father's name, Ziyu said he finally experienced an improvement. A goddess served a bowl of porridge for him. Seeing her brother's antics, Gu Zi was really upset. It was such a shame. Day also served the porridge for Gu Zi. Seeing the porridge she had received from Day, Gu Zi was in extreme shock. Too stunned to speak, she slowly lifted her spoon. Gu Zi gulped and then scooped the porridge and put it in the mouth. Instantly, the taste in her mouth burst and sent her into her subconscious. She felt extremely refreshed after eating the rejuvenating porridge. Her soul even fluttered, as if there was a nectar flowing through her body. Ziyu and Gu Zi really didn't understand. They were now in their interconnected subconsciousness, back to the real world. Gu Zi and Ziyu seemed enjoyed the porridge they had. Nefin laughed to see Gu Zi and Ziyu. He said to Shin if her friends seemed really loved to eat. Kin replied it was all because of Nefin's great cooking skill. Nefin offered them to have some more if the porridge was that delicious. Hearing it, of course, they wouldn't miss the opportunity. They ate with great appetite, stuffing spoon after spoon into their mouths. Looking at them, Kin smiled. She said to herself that she had expected it. It was all planned by Master Nefin. Kin speculated Master Nefin had planned all of this. She thought Nefin also had some plans for the demon-locking ceremony of Valley of Green Cloud. Holding an egg, Kin felt grateful for having an egg from Master Nefin. She thought it was a gift for a subordinate like her. a deity chicken egg cooked with a kind of divine tea. Qin kissed the egg received from Naifan. As the egg was still hot, Qin gasped at the heat. He muttered hot several times, but it was a different kind of heat. In her subconscious, she felt a very unique egg flavor. Finally, Qin, Buzi, and Ziyu had done and left Naifan and Day's lodge. Ziyu told his sister that he didn't lie. Naifan was a wise man. Buzi responded usually Ziyu was useless, but today he gave a huge contribution. The porridge and tea egg had a strong Dao taste. Just a bite, she thought her body would burst. She never tasted such flavor before. If she didn't reach her limit, she wouldn't left a single rice grain in her plate. Buzi burst into tears because she couldn't take it anymore. Ziyu told his sister not to worry and to look at what he brought away. Master Niffin was so kind. Master Niffin gave him 2 steamed buns. Ziyu and Buzi agreed it would serve the steamed buns and to lick it every day. It must be beneficial for their cultivation. Ziyu became even more close to her brother. He said that Ziyu was doing a good job. Buzi said a saying, after suffering 99 losses, the 100th will be a blessing, and it was true. Then they both burst out laughing. Meanwhile, Qin just sighed sadly. Looking at Qin's expression, Buzi asked, hadn't Qin eaten the egg given by Master Niffin, but why did Qin look sad? Qin said languidly, they didn't know the water Master Niffin that cooked the tea egg earlier was the spiritual water. 1 sip of spiritual water could make people feel enlightened, even those ingredients were precious. Her heart ached every time she thought of Master Niffin throwing them away after using them. Hearing the water used was the spiritual water, Buzi made a shocked, serious face. Buzi and Qin then burst in tears. They cried over the water in which the eggs were boiled. Ziyu got an idea upon the sight. Running away left Qin and his sister behind. Ziyu told them not to worry and to let him work through the problem. Of course, Qin was astonished, asking what Ziyu would do. With an innocent face, Ziyu confidently said he would go to the sewer and wait there. He would wait Master Niffin threw away the water from the pan and collect each drop. Moving on to Niffin, who was seen preparing his bed. He muttered, the cultivators were very interesting. They even want to pack steamed buns. He thought they ate too much greasy food and now they chose more ordinary food. Niffin turned around and asked for Day's opinion. It turned out that Day had changed her cloth to the one given by Buzi. Day looked more mature and even hotter. Of course, Niffin couldn't take his eyes off her. Laughing, Day asked if she was pretty enough in that gown. While Day was walking, Day accidentally stumbled and fell into Niffin's hug. Day said she really liked the dress, but its material was quite sheer. If Master Niffin didn't like it anymore, then she wouldn't wear it. Niffin firmly said that Day was very beautiful. A pretty girl like Day would need a pretty gown for sure and let others see it. Hearing the compliment, Day asked Niffin once again whether Niffin thought she was pretty. With a soft gaze, Niffin said if Day wasn't pretty and he wouldn't name Day Day. And the night passed by with them. Morning had come. King Lu was seen coming to Niffin's place to tell them that the demon-locking ceremony of Valley of Green Cloud would begin shortly. Day apparently opened the door. Of course, seeing Day was in Niffin's room, King Lu was surprised and even awkward. But casually, Day greeted King Lu. She asked King Lu to wait for a while. Niffin was now preparing. King Lu immediately left and said that he was too dumb. His foolish self had bothered Master Niffin, and his dumb self would leave real soon. Suddenly, Niffin came out of his room and told King Lu not to misunderstand. Day came to his room in early morning to wake him up. Wearing his coat, Niffin was annoyed to Day. Niffin said that he had his own arms and legs. Day didn't need to serve him. But Day always didn't heed his words. Niffin continued, Day also should maintain her reputation. If she kept doing so, misunderstandings would continue to occur and it wouldn't be good to Day. After hearing Niffin's explanation, King Lu turned around facing Niffin. Niffin asked whether King had mentioned about the demon-locking ceremony of Valley of Green Cloud. King Lu confirmed the demon-locking ceremony of Valley of Green Cloud would be held today. The Xianju guest house had a tall tower and was a good place to watch the ceremony, therefore let him take Master Niffin there. Not long after, they climbed the Xianju tower. Qin, who guided Day and Niffin, said the Xianju guest house was the tallest tower, and it was a good place to watch the ceremony. The landscape was vast, and the place was also secluded as ordinary people could not come to the place. Above the tower, the scenery really looked vast and beautiful. Naifin was amazed by the scenery from above the tower. Kim pointed at a mountain that was split. She said it was the place where the ceremony took place. Suddenly, something flew out of the split mountain at high speed and crashed into something. It seemed that almost the entire mountain area and its surroundings were covered in an enormous dome. Apparently, the locking process had taken place. The elders on duty were seen floating in the air. They were the elders of the Valley of Green Clouds who were performing the ceremony, and also the leader of the Valley of Green Clouds, Master Gu Changking. Naifin realized that Master Gu Changking was the father of those two kids he met yesterday. Naifin, who saw it, was not comfortable as it was really dark in the valley. He thought if the elders were not safe. Kitten said that the ceremony would begin shortly. Again, something was seen coming out of the mountain. Something dark began to fly and crash into the dome above the air that sealed them in. Seeing it, Naifin had no words. Naifin just understood that it was what meant by the gate to the world of demons. When Naifin turned around to King Lu, Shai Yu, and the bald elder, he shouted, "How could they relax in such situation?" King Lu casually said the same thing always happened, so there was no need to worry. The bald elder also said the purpose of coming was entertainment. King Lu confirmed. He explained that the formation of the Valley of Green Clouds was created by the ancestors of the Green Clouds. After the ancestors of the Green Clouds gained immortality, they strengthened the formation by incorporating heavenly Taoist methods. As a result, the seal remained strong for thousands of years. Naifin languidly said that was what it meant. Naifin then looked at the mountain and where the ceremony took place. He said to himself, but there was an uneasy feeling within his heart. What was that uneasy feeling? The elders and leaders of the Valley of Green Clouds were seen starting the sealing. As a result, a very bright light appeared that made everyone, including Naifin, immediately cover their eyes. Within the dome used to seal the demons, there was a large mass of black mist struggling to breach the dome. With all their strength, the elders continued to hold the dome from being destroyed by the black mist's struggling attacks. Because the elders' defense was stronger, the black mist demons were defeated and returned to the hole. Naifin was really impressed seeing it. He shouted that it was really great. Was it the power of the immortal cultivator? With a shocking face, Naifin said to himself if he had never witnessed such things since the day he came onto this world. How could the immortals possess such great power? Naifin questioned himself as to why he could not cultivate. It would be amazing if he could be as great as them. In tears, Naifin screamed internally. He was very envious. He admired the immortals. Daya was silent in confusion, looking at her master's antics. Suddenly, from the hole between the mountains came a rumbling sound that startled Naifin and the elders who were in charge of conducting sealing. Indeed, the mountain ground suddenly began to crack as if something was trying to break through. The elders had a look of caution and surprise at the same time. The black fumes of a demon burst out from within the ground and surged up, trying to breach the dome that sealed it. The elders and Master Changking prepared to give all their strength to hold back the demon that was trying to break through. A run appeared in the air, which was the action of the elders. From one of the runs, several dragons appeared fighting the black mist demon. Both clashed with each other, which caused a shockwave to hit the surroundings. Naifin, who was on top of the tower, did not escape the blast of the shockwave. With a satisfied expression, Naifin said that it was very cool. The clock kept ticking, but the elders and the black mist demon were still fighting. Naifin, who did not miss a single second of the fighting, said had they fought for hours, but none of them had defeated. Naifin asked to King Lu and the others how long they would fight. Kin responded, according to the previous occurrence, it would go on for 3 or 4 days long. King Lu added some even lasted for half a month. Naifin turned pale, hearing it being a cultivator turned to be risky. After some moments, Naifin finally gave up to watch the remaining ceremony. Kin asked whether Naifin was about to go back to have some rest. As he was stepping down, Naifin said that he was tired, he wanted to have a shower and go to bed. Not wanting to be apart from Naifin, Day chased him. As King Lu watched Naifin leaving, he said it was as expected of an expert. Naifin was not interested at the cultivator battle level at all. The bald elder said, but still, the Valley of Green Clouds was powerful. Even after years, their formation was not getting weaker. King Lu also realized there was something different this year. His feelings said something was not right. The bald elder asked whether the Valley of Green Clouds applied new Taoist method. Of course, King Lu did not have any idea, he said languidly. Meanwhile, Kim was thinking about something. She recalled what Guzig had said about the seal that locked up the demon of the Valley of Green Clouds was loosened and almost disappeared for the past 3 days, leaving her father shocked. King Lu said the Black Mist demon had been suppressed hard. He thought it would end sooner than the previous years. The elders of Valley of Green Clouds still continued to fight. Once again, Master Chanking used the technique and formed a bell-like seal to cover the split mountain. Master Chanking said that the formation had formed. He ordered the 4 elders to proceed with the rest. One of the elders told Master Chanking not to worry. They would better wait until the fire formation blocked the demon's smoke and the ceremony would be finished. One of the elders told Master Chanking to go back and have some rest and to leave it to them to do the rest. Master Chanking left immediately and thanked for their hard work. The day had passed. The 4 elders in charge of completing the seal seemed to be at their limit, but the smoke demon still seemed to be trying to rise slowly. In the downtown area nearby the Valley of Green Clouds, a city bustling with tourists and vendors. A young man was seen walking and muttering that everything there was not good. From the food to the women, it was seriously bad. Even the demon locking ceremony was just the same as the previous years. Nothing was interesting. The young man continued to grumble the Valley of Green Cloud was really boring. A servant who was with the young man asked him not to say such things. What if the people of the Valley of Green Cloud hear it? The young man underestimated. He asked what would happen to him anyway. He was the legitimate son of the Liu family. Even the leader of the Valley of Green Clouds should show his respect to his father. All he did was just stated fact and truth. Henceforth, he was called Young Master Liu. Liu turned round and found out Naifen and Day, which was walking together. Seeing Day's beauty, Young Master Liu instantly stunned. With an unresisting face, Young Master Liu said he did not expect there would be such a beautiful woman. His trip this time really worked in his favor. Young Master Liu immediately ran to approach Day. His servant certainly asked what the young master would do. Pointing at Day, the young master said, "What else would he do if not to take the girl? The mortal who was with the girl surely did not deserve her." When Naifan and Day were looking at toys, suddenly somebody grabbed Day's shoulder. It was young Master Liu. Liu asked Day to be friends, but not that kind of friends. Naifan and Day became instantly astonished and stunned. Meanwhile, King Lu, Xiaoyu, and Qin were really shocked to death to see someone who dared to bother Naifan and Day. With an upset face, Naifan asked what young Master Liu's matter was. Young Master Liu snapped his fingers to summon his servant. He said that it seemed that Naifan did not like small talk. Then he would tell Naifan he fell in love with Day, and then he wanted her body. Naifan should have understood better. Leave Day and go away. It was just a second he finished his words. A foot suddenly appeared to slam into young Master Liu's face and cause young Master Liu to be knocked away. They were King Lu, Xiaoyu, and Qin. With upset and furious expressions, they asked who dared to be rude in front of Master Naifan. The servants of young Master Liu were surprised to see King Lu and the others. Meanwhile, Naifan was still trying to protect Day from the people. Young Master Liu could not accept this. Trying to get up, he said he was the legitimate son of the Liu family. How dare they challenge him? He would make sure they all regret it. But it was young Master Liu who got his face bruised after being beaten by King Lu and the others. Young Master Liu, who was being tied up, muttered how unlucky he was. Even his father never hit him once. King Lu told Naifan young Master Liu was just a pervert and there was no need to think about him. Naifan did not answer. His face was gloomy. Naifan then spoke up. He said quietly, "Thankfully King Lu and the others arrived on time." Otherwise, Naifan paused for a moment and grasped Day's hand tightly. Naifan told himself silently that he was only a mortal. He had forgotten how evil this world was, even if the social structure was good in his previous life. But still, there were bad people everywhere. Not to mention this chaotic world of cultivators. Naifan said that he was not sure how many weak people in this world like himself and Day experienced being hurt by bullies like Liu. What an awful meeting. Naifan softly said, if only people like them, the bullies disappeared from this world. Hearing the words that came out of Naifan's mouth, King Luo, Xiaoyu, and Qin were shocked to death. Once again, Naifan sighed, saying, if only people like Liu disappeared from this world, it must be really good. Still feeling worried, King Lu didn't understand what was Naifan meant. Xiaoyu responded, Master Nifen was not joking at all. Trembling in fear, Qin tried to interpret Nifen's words. She said what Master Nifen's words meant, because they were already scared seeing Nifen's usual expression become like an evil expression in their eyes. Nifen said that he did not mean anything. He was just venting. The three of them were really shocked and scared because this time Master Nifen was really angry. An even worse misunderstanding has occurred. The three of them knelt before Master Nifen and said that they understood Nifen's command. They told Nifen not to worry, they would do it. Of course, Nifen was confused of what they were doing that made them kneeling. They immediately stood up and stated that the floor was slippery. Nifen simply believed what they said. He said that the weather was indeed not good. Nifen told them that he would leave to bring day. As for Liu, the three of them had more strength than him, so he would let the three of them handle it. With a serious, scared, and somewhat mixed look on their faces, they said that they definitely would do it. Nifen also said wasn't Liu was from a powerful family. Nifen whispered telling them not to do anything that made the Liu family upset. He was afraid if they would take revenge. With a serious, pressed face, Nifen asked if they understood what he meant. The misunderstandings grew bigger, of course. They understood and would make sure the Liu family did not take revenge. Obvious the misunderstanding, they interpreted that Nifen wanted them to finish off the entire Liu family. Nifen asked Day to go back to their lodge. Nifen asked them to be more careful in the future. Young Master Liu scolded King Liu, Xiaoyu, and Qin about what drama they were playing. He was the legitimate son of the Liu family. His family resulted powerful, immortal cultivators. Even Green Cloud Valley had to give and show respect to his father. Even earlier, Master Lin sat and drank tea together. How dare they had the audacity to be rude to him. The Liu family would make them regret their actions. King Liu, Xiaoyu, and Qin gave young Master Liu an intimidating stare. Qin said that she did not care even if the leader of the Liu family was a cultivator when it came to Master Nifen. Seeing the fearless reaction of King Liu and the others made young Master Liu scared himself. Now it was getting late. King Liu, Xiaoyu, and Qin went visiting Nifen's lodge. Each of them put on a serious face. Before meeting Nifen, they looked left and right to make sure no one was watching them. King Liu then knocked on the door. With a serious face, Nifen, who was doing something, asked who was coming. King Liu awkwardly said that they had worked out the problem. Day opened the door and allowed them to come in without saying a single word. Just like an action film, Nifen, who sat like a boss, thanked them. Also, Nifen apologized for troubling them. He didn't know how sorry he was for giving them such fear. By grabbing a scroll on the table, Nifen said that he did not have any special gift to give. He wrote up some words. He hoped that they accepted it. The three people's faces stiffened as they were about to receive gifts from Nifen. King Liu reached and read the writing on the scroll, which contains a poem that read, "There is murder without movement, there is movement without evidence." Nifen said to himself, since the three of them had helped him, he wrote poems for their mesmerizing and extraordinary moments without any intentions. Reading the poem, King Liu and the others became even more misunderstood. They stood still, unable to say anything. After looking at the poems for a while, King Liu and the others thanked for the gift given by Nifen. Slowly they backed away and left the lodge. Once they exited, they sighed and revealed their true face, which was pale with fear. The thought Master Nifen was extremely mad. The words on the scroll was a reminder to them. They should serve Master Nifen well in the future. The three of them held the scroll together, looking at each other to get their hands on it. They inwardly said how to share the scroll. In his room, Nifen was feeling languid. Of course, Day worried about him. Nifen told Day if he promised to protect Day, but today he put Day in danger instead. It was all because if he was immortal. He did not have any special abilities. All he could do was being friends with the immortals and to ask them to protect him and Day. Nifen seemed to be sad. He asked whether Day was not happy to live with him. Day said nothing and just to stare at Nifen and look down. Day said to herself that Nifen was pretending again. Nifen was really upset to himself. He was furious. It should be good if he had great abilities and talents. He would beat up Liu the kid until he burst in tears and screamed in pain. Moving on to the Valley on Green Clouds. In the main hall of the Valley of Green Clouds, Ziyu and Guzi were seen waiting for someone. Not long after, a person came and asked them what did they want, so they called for him. The person who came turned out to be Master Changking, their father. Of course, Ziyu happily welcomed his father. In a low, whispered tone, Zayu asked his father to come closer. He would show something to his father. Master Changking did not understand his son's antics. Would Zayu give him a very precious treasure? Zayu asked his father to lower his voice because what he would show his father was a good thing. His father must be surprised to see it. Zayu then showed his father a big and soft steamed bun. With an annoyance expression, Master Changking said that he was surprised. Rolling up his sleeves, Master Changking, who was upset, thought Zayu did not have any other thing to do and to play with him instead. In fear, Zayu screamed that his father misunderstood him. With a flat face, Wuzi greeted her father. Master Changking already had a high expectation on his daughter. But Wuzi showed the same thing as what Zayu, her idiot younger brother, did. Wuzi said it was a powerful steamed bun. Once the father had a taste, then he would understand. Of course, the behavior of his two children annoyed him. He screamed upset. Why did they both play with him? Only the dumb one would try it. Master Changking slowly sat down and tempered his anger because it was not good for his blood pressure. He said he had worked hard to seal the evil realm, but they wanted him to have a steamed bun instead. He had raised him with hard work and love. They really had no sense of gratitude at all. But again, Zayu chose not to care about what his father said. Zayu offered the steamed bun to his father once again with a drooling face. Master Changking rejected and asked them to have the steamed bun for themselves instead. Wuzi did not let her father miss the opportunity to eat the bun. She said that she got it from the expert. Master Changking confidently said if there was an expert who was better than him, why did he never hear news of him? Zayu interrupted. The expert even gave them porridge and eggs, and he packed the buns to take home. Again, Master Changking was surprised since the bun was a leftover. Zayu immediately offered the steamed bun to his father to try. Of course, Master Changking was even more annoyed because the son who did not know any better. Since a father definitely loses to the child, Master Changking finally sighed and received the steamed bun. The soft taste of the steamed bun made him lose his mind. It was soft and perfectly round. Master Changking then squeezed the steamed bun slowly, and he said to himself that the taste and sensation was really soft. It felt like he touched his 18-year-old wife's hand. As he imagined of his wife, Master Changking excitedly took a bite of the steamed bun, and he instantly entered into his subconsciousness, felt above the clouds. He sensed incredible sensation. He saw the ancestors and sensed the Tao within the bun.